Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome back to the FUKME replay review series. Today, we're going to be checking out a replay submitted by our very own channel member, ThurnisHaley. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to sit back, relax, and enjoy how he plays the map Onslaught, one of my newly favorited maps. I play it pretty often with him, and he's pretty competent on this map, but we're gonna see if there's some decisions he could have made that were better, or just try and learn a little bit from his play. He's starting off with a land factory, which is a strategy that I know he is specifically crafted for this map. It's a little bit cheeky, but what he does is he gets his first 2 to 3 engineers building the hydrocarbon, then he sends an attack move to this little reclaim field right here. It's only about 300 reclaim, but he uses that to jumpstart his economy and stop himself from stalling quite so poorly en masse, and then he immediately walks his comm, and so is Lieutenant General Fluffy this game, another channel supporter. They both walk their comm here to the middle, where you have in the range of 10,000 reclaim, just for the taking, a lot of it in Serenity Rex, and very much so a strong opener. We're going to have to see how the middle goes for him this game. You can see the 2 engineers already building that first hydrocarbon, and that's going to really help him out. The 3rd engineer either is going to go reclaim or help with this as well. Let's see. Does he give the command yet? He's going to give manual reclaim commands and patrol commands. He's going to do this quite heavily. His next engineer, I believe, goes and builds mass extractors, and a couple of these engineers may even start building power. Seems like just 1 engineer for now building power. Another engineer going to manually reclaim, and this engineer also sent to grab mass extractors. So his opener is very tight, very much so one of the openers that in a early T1 bomber really screws over this this build. But in general, you're generally safe from that. It's a pretty big map. You can see it flying over if it's coming directly for the bases. You can react pretty easily, and he's already getting his mass extractors built and his economy online as he reaches the middle of the map and starts getting to the reclaim. I've noticed that normally he really likes to go very far into the reclaim field and try and beat out the other team from getting there. And overall, that seems to be the strategy being displayed in this one. Lieutenant General Fluffy and him are almost indefinitely on comms, so they should be able to coordinate a little bit better than normal, but this build does generally work even without that. You just have to be careful. If your ally doesn't come to the middle, you don't really have a good defense against a large push. Fluffies. So Surrey took these 2 mass extractors, and somebody's saying that they belong to Fluffy, and I do believe that's correct, because otherwise Fluffy has 5 mass extractors and is a little bit screwed. So those were transferred over to Fluffy. ThurnisHaley already on the reclaim train and already up to 1,000 reclaim here at 3 minutes. He's getting quite a bit. I'm sure by now he's starting up another factory. He's starting up T2 mexes. He's not assisting them right now, but I know later on he probably starts assisting them. And he has power being built as fast as he can. He's about to start overflowing. The longer he stays up here in the front, the more he overflows. It's much like Setton's in the way. If he overflows, it just goes to his teammates and they spend it. Orb, the enemy commander, now showing up to try and contest this mass reclaim. And it does seem as though ThurnisHaley is going to continue to have a debate with these 2 comms. Emperor Penguin coming up as well, going to be firing. Lieutenant General Fluffy and ThurnisHaley going to hold their ground for now, but as a few mobile artillery start coming in, I think it might be prudent for them to both move back and decide another way to go about everything. He tried to wall block. That probably wasn't the best idea. He's under a lot of threat right now. If Orb and Emperor Penguin continue to walk forward, this is probably a kill onto ThurnisHaley, but the problem is that they might both end up dying due to the comm of Orb not, well, the Emperor Penguin stops, but due to the comm explosions, you could have a chain reaction here in the middle. Does seem as though Thurnis is going to get out. Lieutenant General Fluffy covering his ally very well right there. Thurnis playing a little bit ballsy, but he is going to be able to get away and stay safe for now. I wonder if that's his comm queued up to build that. No, his comm looks like it's just going to be running pretty far back. He's going to start walking forward again, trying to get some shots onto the comm of Orb. Orb and Emperor Penguin continue to push forward and try and grab more reclaim. Overall, if we check the reclaim, since we can do that right here, ThurnisHaley is 3rd place, Emperor Penguin 2nd, and Lieutenant General Fluffy 1st place. But he got a lot of reclaim, and out of all of that reclaim, he has managed to get himself a nice little pocket of mass extractors. He's going for his 3rd T2 mix, and he should be able to get it before he fully stalls on mass. He has other engineers out on the field, I'm sure, reclaiming right now, and that's going to help him out a little bit. Yep, down here, some reclaim going on, and that's going to help him balance his economy. He's up to 4 factories already. I'd like to see him build an air factory, personally. Generally, you want multiple people making interceptors. Fluffy also going for an air factory pretty early. It's generally a good idea to just have one, but right now he's focusing hard on eco. He has 3 factories making attacking units and 1 factory making engineers. Few idle engineers here. I'd like to see them given commands, or even just start putting them on attack orders to random parts of the map. Just keeping them in the base right here. It can be useful for the build power, but I think he may have just forgotten about it in the entire rush in the middle and all of the stuff going on. Going for speed and range, he's doing quite well at balancing his economy while he does this. Has he paused any factories? No, he just has a strong enough economy at this point to get speed and range without worrying. And he's up to 80%, so this is going to be a pretty dangerous comm. He may even go for stealth right after this with how strong his economy is. He can definitely afford it, and with Lieutenant General Fluffy helping, he could get it quite quickly. Let's go ahead and see. Yep, immediately starts stealth, and stealth is going to be done within a minute. And he is continuing to balance this economy quite well. He has himself a T1 mass extractor now starting a T2 upgrade, and engineers already on the way to help. Yet again, a lot of idle engineers. At this point, it feels like it would be better just to start building tanks, in my opinion. These engineers aren't doing anything, and if your engineers aren't doing anything, why build them? He finally starts an air factory with a couple engineers, which is a good play. And stealth is about halfway done and rising. He's starting to have issues with mass. He's starting to kind of run out of reclaim that's naturally available to him. Speaking of reclaim, 3.6 thousand for Fluffy, Surrey slightly behind that, Emperor Penguin behind that, and ThurnisHaley about to reach 3,000. He just hit 2,900. And that is going to be very useful for him. And as we start to meander our way into the mid-game, the decisions made by these players is going to affect a lot more. The early game was pretty standard, pretty simple, nothing crazy really going on, nobody dying. So these players going to need to decide how they want to approach the rest of this game. Do they want to eco hard and try and get to a rush to T3? Do they want to play hard in the T2 phase? We'll have to keep an eye on that. He's pushing forward with a small land spam army, trying to just make sure this mass extractor dies and make sure that constant income doesn't continue to benefit his opponent. And as he pushes forward with the comm, the stealth upgrade giving him a decent chunk of health, and overall having a bit sturdier of a comm than the base Cybern comm, he's going to be able to put some pressure out onto the field. A large run by now happening over here for the units of Orb, but towards Lieutenant General Fluffy. I think Fluffy needs to respond to this with a little bit more vigor. Probably going to need to send his units, maybe even his comm. His commander currently getting what I would believe to be a gun upgrade, and after that we might see even Nano if he's feeling particularly spicy, and that should be pretty good for him. Thurnis trying to get some vet on the comm, trying to get this comm that he upgraded so early to be effective. I'd like to see maybe another radar further up now that he's gained a bit more territory. It seems like he's walking blind into a lot of things, which is a little bit dangerous. He's still vulnerable if both the comms of Orb and Emperor Penguin show up, so he does need to be careful. Fluffy not able to assist him at the moment. Fluffy is about 90% done with his gun upgrade, so that should help him out. Thurnis just needs to make sure he doesn't overextend here, and he'll be doing pretty good. Over here in the back line, we have a lot of power being spammed up. I don't know if he needs more power. It definitely seems like he's spending too much mass on power. This, I do believe, is a mistake. You have more than enough power generation right now to go T2 and to get everything you need done. Maybe he's overbuilding power on purpose for more overcharges. He's getting multiple E-storages up, so he wants to overcharge really often. But other than that, that just seems like a large mass investment that could have gone into T2 mexes or T2 land. Speaking of T2 land. He's 25% done with an HQ at the moment. In the center, he's pushing forward. He's about to kill off a T2 mechs. I'd like him to focus that with the comm, gives him a higher chance of getting some veterancy. He's very close to his first rank of veterancy, and Cyber and Comm gets incredibly good regen, even without Nano, whenever you get all of the ranks of veterancy. He's up to 1 vet and already 21 health a second. The Mantis are coming in, going to be threatening onto the comm of Orb. He's focusing Orb, but a Asylum shield generator comes in as speed finishes up for Orb. Orb going to be able to fire back, going to be able to clear up the spam. He does need to be careful and get some units in between him and Haley. Haley is definitely being very aggressive and threatening this comm quite heavily. And Haley stops for just a second, and that means he's no longer going to be able to target the comm, so he needs to fall back. Seems an Oblivion point defense has been thrown up, as it did just miss a shot onto the comm of Thurnis. Thurnis now working his way to the second rank of veterancy up here in the front, doing very good with the micro on the comm, but does need to be careful as Emperor Penguin is showing up. Orb is also here, starting to get range on the comm. It looks as though Emperor Penguin's comm is completely unupgraded, which is going to be a bit of a saving grace here. There's not going to be any kind of gun comm coming after him. It seems he's cheating up towards the north, towards his ally, Lieutenant General Fluffy, who also has a heavily upgraded comm and has managed to push back that run by and get quite aggressive over here on the western side, more like the central side, but the western side of the central kind of ravine here. And now ThurnisHaley and Lieutenant General Fluffy are going to be working together on this front. Thurnis playing a little bit more dangerous with the comm, but I'm sure he has it under control. Let's go ahead and go back and talk about economy for a little bit, because a lot of people struggle with this. So when Thurnis went to the middle, he did get a huge jumpstart on mass economy, and he's already up to 5 T2 mexes, and it seems as though a fifth T2 mex is going. He's going to be getting that slowly. It's going to upgrade passively. And he's starting to cap mexes now. Already up to 42 mass a second. It's not the highest in the game, as there's some other players slightly higher than him. But he's keeping up in economy, and he's always got a mex upgrade going. He's always going to be capping mexes. It's all about being consistent and consistently having something going. You always want to be growing your economy. If you're sitting there and you're not growing your economy, you're usually going to be making a mistake. The only exception being is if you're going for a heavy all-in on one tech of the game or one phase of the game, and you believe that you can win the game by stopping max upgrades, stopping increasing your economy, and throwing everything into units. Thurnis now has his army down to the south. He's letting Lieutenant General Fluffy manage the bulk of the army over here with his comm and with on the front. He's going to be using his own army down here in the south, probably going to try and secure this mass field. At least that's what I would be thinking about. There are civilian PD on this map, so he does have to be a little bit wary about just running his Mantis up, but as long as he targets with the Medusa, he should be fine. But it seems as though the Medusa just going to be shot down by that artillery. He needs to get a little bit more APM out on the field and use it to go ahead and kill off these PD with his own artillery. Over here in the center, there's some T2 tech coming out on the field. These Asylums going to make it very difficult to fight with the comm. Lieutenant General Fluffy and ThurnisHaley need to fall back right now. This is a push they can't handle. There are some T2 units out here for Lieutenant General Fluffy, but it's just not going to be working very well. Orb not staying within the radius of his own Asylum shield generators, and also seeming to be losing his Asylum shield generators. They did give a little bit of HP and force Thurnis and Fluffy to do some damage, but it seems as though now with Lieutenant General Fluffy going forward, they're going to try and get aggressive, maybe even get a kill onto either Emperor Penguin or Orb. The Aurora Asylum in the back are going to be helping out. I think some Obsidians would definitely help out Orb right now, but we're not watching Orb. We're trying to see what Thurnis can do properly. Emperor Penguin brought down to 4,600 health. Does look like he's going to be able to get away, as the pathfinding is going to help him out a little bit. Orb now in trouble, though, as Orb has to fall back himself, and all of these units are just starting to put a lot of pressure on him. Thurnis now going to start trying to get, yet again, more kills on the comm. Up to 3 vet, 33 health a second, and that's going to help him out quite a little bit. And as we zoom out and look at things, we can go ahead and check on the economy, see how well Thurnis is doing. Thurnis is 3rd place on economy for mass, up to 55. Surrey and Cookson are doing slightly better than him. Surrey doing very well on this northern front, but Surrey seemingly in trouble. And I know this isn't a cast, but I think that this is very relevant. If Surrey dies, ThurnisHaley gets the base. And if ThurnisHaley can be on top of this, make sure he sees the death happen, make sure he knows what's going on, that will help him out a lot. Surrey may be able to cheat death here and get away. He was sub 1000 HP. He's still getting shot at by tanks, still going down to around 900 HP. In the middle, there was a little bit of damage going on to the comm, and there's some gunships in the range, so I think ThurnisHaley and Fluffy need to fall back until they have stronger air control. There does seem to be T3, those Corona ASF out on the field coming out to shoot down any air units in the area. Corsairs coming out from Surrey, trying to use the Corsairs to get some damage on the Lightbearer, make sure that if Lightbearer tries and gets the scalp here, Lightbearer dies for it. And Surrey going to continue to fall back. It seems his production has slowed down quite a bit. I think he's just throwing all of his mass into a Corsair, and that's just not going to help him. In the middle, let's go back to focusing on ThurnisHaley. There's a T2 unit push coming in. Luckily, it's just Blazes, which are good at killing T2 or T1 units, but overall, you can kind of hold it. I think that Thurnis needs to focus on getting T2 land production up, and he agrees with me, getting 2 more factories to T2 and starting to assist the production of rhinos. So Thurnis going to start getting into the T2 phase very heavily. Already has rhinos on the field, already working on stuff. He doesn't have any more mechs upgrading. I'd like to see him start upgrading this. This hasn't really been under threat until just now, and he needs to really focus on getting a bit better economy. It seems he's starting to slow down his economic progress, and he's going to start falling down in the economy leaderboards for it. But overall, still going quite well for ThurnisHaley, and the game very evenly matched so far. Lightbearer going to be forced back now as Corona and Swiftwind start to land right next to him. I'm sure he would love to get the free vet from killing those, but instead going to have to fall back. Corsairs constantly harassing this comm. There's some more interceptors coming out from the other team to deal with that, and you just got to keep an eye on this kind of stuff. You want to be, when you're playing these games, you want to be looking around the map, seeing what's going on. I'm sure Thurnis by now has noticed that his ally to the southeast has started to fall. David going quite low on HP, down to about 7,000 HP. That's half of his HP. And he's going to be in a bit of danger as Acostes deals with this. Thurnis could really help out right now by just sending his T2 army over here, but that would open him up to a little bit of damage himself. I'd like to see him maybe even just divert his reinforcements to try and help out David. I know that Thurnis, generally a lot better than me whenever we're actually playing games, about noticing when his allies are in trouble. This large embankment of T1 PD really saved David there. And Thurnis is kind of just playing this a bit more calm. He has a lot of units, and Thurnis saying ping when you need help. He is pretty good on top of it, but he does like it when his teammates ping for help. And now Rhino's going to be coming over here trying to push back the comm of Acostes, and that should be pretty good for him. Going to help out David, his ally. A lot of the biggest mass generators in the game, the highest eco players, are the players on the sides. The middle players don't have as much eco as these players on the flanks, and the player who secures the entire flank has an insane economy as long as they're ecoing properly. So Thurnis does generally want to be keeping an eye on these, trying to help out his flank allies as much as possible. But over here in the middle, another engagement between Emperor Penguin, who just finished Nano Repair, and Orb has happened, and Surrey has finally killed off Lightbearer by using, I'm guessing, Corsairs. It seemed to be his main strategy. Thurnis over here dropping his engineers next to some enemy units, but these engineers are going to pay for themselves quite easily as they're reclaiming in a large field of units, and he still has the transport, so he can always just scoop up more engineers. He's started working on his first T3 mechs, and that's why he's kind of stalling mass right now, and that's going to be helping him out a lot once that finishes. It's already capped, so it'll be 27 mass a second. Really going to make his day. Over here, Acostes has a bit of danger on him, but he's going to be perfectly fine as he's overcharging these rhinos, and that's going to be a non-issue. Transport is full. He has engineers. He's going to continue to do this. This is a very good play out from ThurnisHaley. Going to continue to get engineers on transports and send them out to get reclaim. Looks like he's going to yet again go for this reclaim field over here near Surrey where that large engagement happened. And Thurnis is over here in the middle fighting with Fluffy, trying to push Emperor Penguin with that Rambo comm off. Orb now having shield on the comm. Both of these comms over here are going to be putting a lot of threat over here. Lieutenant General Fluffy has Nano Repair, which is why you can see his health just skyrocketing back up. Thurnis currently sitting at 3 vet. If he can get up to 4 or 5 vet, he'd be kind of challenging the amount of repair you get from Nano without any vet on a comm. So it is pretty good for a Cybern comm to get a lot of veterancy with that increased repair rate. Really makes them a lot more beefy than I think the other factions comms get just from veterancy. And over here, Rhino's still helping out, but it seems as though Acosta is going to be able to push forward again. Huge line of triads, not particularly useful. David's spending all of his economy on static defense, which isn't always the best strategy if we're being honest with ourselves. Surrey over here in the north getting some ground, and Thurnis really going to be abusing that by using his own transport to get his engineers out onto the field and reclaiming. I'd like to see him even get some transports down here if he can afford it, and maybe throw some units down there. Looks as though T3 land is going to be finishing up any minute now, up to 90% on that T3 land factory, and he's getting another T3 mechs. He'll be able to afford quite heavy production out of these T3 facilities, and that's going to really help him out in the long run. And that will be the question. Is he going to commit to T3 land? Is he going to go for experimentals? I've seen him go both ways. Hopefully we get to see something interesting going on. Him and Fluffy working quite well together, also keeping their comms near each other so neither of the enemy comms can just walk up and threaten them. Sending some units to try and cut off the reinforcements that are probably getting sent out by the allies of Lightbearer, who recently died. It seems this area has probably been given over to Emperor Penguin. It is indeed a full share game. Most of the time we play on this map it is. And that's going to help out a lot with ThurnisHaley. Or with, not with Thurnis. It's going to help out Emperor Penguin a lot with having such a commanding lead over the map. He has quite the strong economy right now. And that's why Thurnis and Lieutenant General Fluffy were trying to put pressure down onto Emperor Penguin, trying to shut him down a little bit. And Thurnis did seem to drop some engineers over here. He's even on top of it. Just things that I mildly suggest. He's doing quite well with that. Overall, as far as mistakes go, I think the only major mistake I'm seeing right here is I think that Thurnis isn't quite being aggressive enough as far as I would think he'd want to be. I think he could get a lot more run-bys in. Acosta seems pretty focused on being right here. Emperor Penguin is fighting all the way over here. I see a massive opportunity right here just for a run-by and just to try and cripple the economy of one of your enemies. A large group of air units over here. I believe these are ASF. They are not attacking units, but something to keep your eye on the map. On the mini-map, we can see that Emperor Penguin is starting to push quite heavily over here. Surrey's comm still at half health after all those engagements and after walking up. Gonna need to be a little bit careful. This comm out from Emperor Penguin's quite dangerous. And Surrey not even really producing T2 land units. He's going mainly for air with T1 spam. The question is, can he manage to hold back the comm of Emperor Penguin, who's going to be coming forward quite quickly, as Thurnis finally starts getting out some bricks, starts getting his production up, may even start getting more factories to build T3 units, and overall transition quite nicely into the late game, up to 4 T3 mexes and a 5th about to finish. The man is an eco machine, and he's getting quite a bit. Still don't know why these T1 mexes on the front are T1. Could definitely do to upgrade these to T2. It'd be an easy upgrade, and you'd probably play it off with how little pressure has been put on that location as of late. And the bricks and T2 forces now out from Thurnis, moving over to this western side near the comms of Lieutenant General Fluffy and ThurnisHaley. Lieutenant General Fluffy getting shield, I believe. Yep, he is, and Thurnis going to be helping with that. He's living off overflow power currently, which is, I guess, understandable. He is building more T2 power plants and a T3 power plant. I think you should cancel and reclaim this. If you're going to build the T3 power plant down here, just build the shield. Don't bother with getting the T2 power plant. Over here, Emperor Penguin being assaulted by the units out from Fluffy. Gonna need to be pushed back a little bit, but overall he broke the position that Surrey was in, and Surrey fell back quite a bit. Surrey is sitting on a very strong economy. I think he needs to start transitioning to higher tech units, but he's going for a GC. So that's going to be quite good. All of the players here in this game playing pretty well. I would say that only a couple players seem to be having major struggles. Everybody's getting to a decent economic state. Everybody's fighting quite well. Bricks over here. He's doing quite well with the aggression now. Going to be using these bricks to clear up the units out from Acostas. And with that shield upgrade, Fluffy has been emboldened to walk forward. Thurnis seemingly going to fall back though, as I think those are sniper bots, if I am not mistaken. Yeah, there's multiple sniper bots in the back line now. Sprite Strikers out from Orb. Going to be trying to put some damage down onto Lieutenant General Fluffy. His shield was falling quite a bit there. We can go ahead and swap to him for a second. Up to 7,000. He's at 68 HP a second versus ThurnisHaley sitting over here on 33, so not that huge of a difference. I mean, ThurnisHaley has half of it, but he didn't buy an upgrade to get his regen rate higher. As Lieutenant General Fluffy decides to turn back and try and put some pressure back onto Orb. ThurnisHaley and Lieutenant General Fluffy a little bit disjointed in their decisions here, as sniper bots start putting pressure onto the comm of Fluffy once again. Fluffy's shield gonna break relatively soon. There's a Percival out on the field. Gonna get overcharged into a few shots for good measure. Gonna end up killing off that Percival quite easily. The shield is down for Fluffy. Fluffy gonna try and fall back to this water. This is indeed water on this map. Looks like kind of lava, and maybe even doesn't really look like water at all. But it is in fact water, as Orb continues to push forward and continues to put threat on Fluffy. Fluffy falling quite low, and I think ThurnisHaley should be realizing this now. Needs to be careful. ThurnisHaley claiming there's a strat bomber on the field, and that is indeed, I think, true. It probably killed off these if that wasn't land forces, or maybe this, as the strat bomber is flying overhead, and Lieutenant General Fluffy down to 1,000 HP and gets killed off by, I believe those were sniper bots. A volley of sniper bots, or maybe even the strat bomber, managed to kill Lieutenant General Fluffy. The question is, who does this base go to? I would guess it would be Surrey. Will Surrey give the base over to ThurnisHaley, the highest rated player? Will he try and run it himself? The question remains to be seen, as ThurnisHaley starts to spec into support commander technology, I like to call them the tier 3.5. I heard that recently. They're better than T3 units by a lot, but not necessarily as good as T4 units. The base now being transferred over to Thurnis is going to be a big change in pace currently. Thurnis now going to be sitting on 2 types of T3 units, and he's going to be sitting on a much larger economy than everybody else in the game. Both him and Fluffy were ecoing their hearts out, and right now Thurnis is going to be sitting on a eco twice as big as anybody else. So he needs to start abusing this. He is now in the carry position. He needs to start carrying this game. He can no longer sit back and hope his teammates do something. He has to be the aggressor. So the question is, how does he want to approach this? Is he going to be going for some kind of big project like Surrey has decided to go for? A GC on the way and almost finished. That started a long time ago, but is going to be done in a matter of a couple more minutes. And that's going to mean Emperor Penguin is in trouble, which is something Thurnis should keep his eye on. Orb over here in the middle, going to be putting threat onto his mass brick. But now that he has all of these production facilities and he's able to balance it relatively well, seems that he's going to be able to get himself up a large T3 force very, very quickly. And Surrey has finished the GC. Thurnis will know that it's done, and he will be able to react to anything going on over here. He's just played a solid game, no fancy plays, nothing major going on from ThurnisHaley, but he is being kind of the rock for his team currently. He's just constantly putting on pressure, constantly keeping the opponents honest. And Orb now in a lot of trouble as he starts to push forward with the bricks. He's trying to space out the bricks a little bit so that way they don't get just absolutely destroyed by overcharges. Harbingers start to show up as Orb is forced down into the 2,000 HP range and about to be dead, in fact. Oh my gosh, it's down to 200 HP. Is he gonna pass? Oh, bricks getting so close. He has more bricks on the way, and these Harbingers aren't gonna stop the bricks. he could keep pushing that, and Orb going down to sub 100 HP almost. And Emperor Penguin has now been killed off by that GC out from Surrey. So that's one more weight off the shoulders of Team 1. Team 2 now down 2 players to the 1 that Team 1 is down. And Thurnis sitting in a pretty good position. He has such strong economy and such a great production of T3 units. He's just going to be able to constantly have units on the field and constantly be able to reinforce his positions. It seems as though he's going to be able to start pushing forward now. He's going to kill off sniper bots, which is unfortunate for Orb. Those are going to be quite difficult. And Orb may have just killed himself. He needs to reclaim his own walls, and that's what he's doing. Oh man, he built this wall here to protect himself, but is he keeping them out or is he keeping himself out? What the conundrum. And with him getting rid of his own walls, that means that he's going to allow the bricks through. So the wall was just a bad play. Doesn't even seem that he's going to be walking through the walls, and that might be a mistake as Percival's and bricks are now starting to mount over here. He's not on a lot of HP. Even with 5 vet, it takes him a while to get back up to full HP. No nano on the Aeon comms, unfortunately. Strat bombers over here in the north threatening the GC. But the GC has a lot of HP, and strat bombers do not deal with it very well. Especially if the GC gets a rank of vet, those strat bombers' bombs may just be negated by the simple act of time passing. As Thurnis decides to start pressuring up here to the north and bring his Cougars along. Cougars, such a cool looking unit. UEF supremacy as they protect the fragile bricks from this air threat. But the Cougars going to be used to shoot down these strat bombers that are accosting the GC. Transport is full. Looks as though reclaim is on the mind of Thurnis as he's in a huge mass stall. I think he's maybe being a bit too ambitious, reaching for too much at the same time. He's getting some RASCOMs, which will help him out a little bit, but with over 100 reclaim a second, he's still spending over 500 mass a second, just in a massive mass stall. Maybe when this SMD completes, he will not be in such a desperate position. But until that happens, he's going to be in such a weak economic state. I think he might even want to focus on that. Have they scouted an anti-nuke? This is pretty poor scouting. I would like to see Thurnis just spam out scouts. He has an idle air factory. Spam out a bunch of T1 scouts, spread them around the map, and send them all at once. They're not all going to get shot down. And a T1 scout wave would really help out here. Orb's comm, for not deciding to fall all the way back and for sitting over there, is going to be under threat from the GC. Orb, of course, managing a lot of bases. If we go to observer cam, we can see that he's sitting on 3 bases and trying to manage it. He has his own GC coming out of the base, at least I believe it's a GC, to try and counteract this. He's going to be running away, but he does not move quickly. He needs a T2 transport. And even if he got a T2 transport, it's not even assured that he'd be able to get out because there's just so many ASF in the area. Orb being slowly chased down by all these units, and he's not even on full HP as we mentioned earlier. He has his shield recharged, so that shield's going to buy him a little bit of time. Not sure if it's the heavy shield or the normal shield. It's the normal shield, so that means he's only going to have about 8,000 extra HP to play with here. Thurnis supporting this push with the GC as best he can, has a ton of bricks and Cougars over here to help out. The second GC is going to show up. Orb is going to start taking damage from the first GC, and Orb is going to fall to the GC right whenever his shows up, and this is going to be unfortunate because the GC that Orb just built is just going to be fodder. It's going to die to the T3 units. I'm sorry that Bloom's on. I really like it, but these bricks going to be producing quite the issue. Oh man. The hero brick fighting it. Fighting the GC. And with that, I think the game is pretty well and good. You have a GC in your base. Let's go ahead and speed it up. A second GC on the way from Cookson. Or no, that's Cookson's GC going to be trying to kill off the GC that was built up by Surrey. But yeah, this is pretty good and over. It desyncs. The game is a win for ThurnisHaley. I was maybe hoping he'd send in a loss. If you do want actual help with learning how to play the game and you're lower rated, you can always join the Patreon or the channel membership. Get a lower level replay reviewed, and I can help you out a lot more. I'm recently unemployed and everything else, so it also helps keep the channel alive. Because if I go homeless, there won't be any more FAF videos. So yeah, you all are beautiful. I appreciate you so much. Thank you to Thurnis for supporting the channel, and thank you to all my patrons and all of my channel members. You all are beautiful, and I'm going to let this play out on observer mode.